Good evening, everyone. Hold on a sec. I got a German Shorthair who wants to play fetch. Housekeeping. I have a German Shorthair who loves to play fetch, and we've been cooped up in the snowstorm for like the last 2 days. So if you see me picking up a ball and throwing it, or a Shorthair that attacks me or whatever, that's part of the deal. Anyway, we switched toys on him because he's that smart. Anyway, wanted to give you guys a late November hunt update. So I have not whacked anything since the second week in November there, and had some really good encounters, had some close calls, just haven't been able to close the deal. All right, so that's the positive side. I want to talk a little bit about the negative side and something that's happened to me, and something that if you hunt long enough, it's probably going to happen to you or already has, and how to deal with that. So first I want to go over a couple of the hunting setups, right? So the area that I'm hunting right now, public ground, and there's a rule in place which you cannot hunt closer than 25 yards to an established pedestrian trail. Cool. That's all you really need to know. The second thing to that is, how do I set up? Well, I always set up at least greater than 25 yards. I really push for 50 yards, and where I can get it, I push for 75 yards off of the trail. Why is that? Well, firstly, the deer move a whole lot better when they're away from the trail. Secondly, I'm there to hunt, and I don't want to interrupt anybody's, pedestrian trail walkabout. I don't want to interrupt anybody that. And thirdly, the farther away that you are, the more naturally camouflaged you will get. So I was 75 yards off the trail. I already mentioned I needed to be 25 yards, so more than good enough there. And then secondary to that, I also found the thickest stuff that I can. As we get into late November here, guess what happens? All the leaves are gone and the woods start to look really bare. So anyway, it was getting to be about prime time. I think shooting light is at like 5:10 or something like that. And, it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So getting right on to prime time deer movement time. And I spot a pedestrian coming down the trail. Awesome. Love to see that more than myself, people like myself are utilizing our public grounds. And this person was stopping every 10 to 15 yards, kind of looking around in the woods, meandering about, making their way down the trail. No problem. Like I said, this is a public space, and while I utilize it, others are just as welcome to utilize it as well. At about 100 yards out, things began to look a little different. The person spotted me and then stopped and looked at me for like 5 minutes straight. And then they walked another 25 yards closer and they rinsed and repeated. So they stopped, look at me, and then, when they got even to me on the trail, they stopped and stared again for quite a while. And then they walked upwind of me, and then they entered the woods. And I'm going to stop talking about that because for the next half hour, my hunt was disturbed intentionally. And I want to talk about things that you should do as a hunter and shouldn't do. By the way, this is not legal advice. Mention that. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just somebody who talked to the game warden afterwards. So take that, and every interaction is different, but these are some pretty good ground rules. Once again, I'll state it again. I am not a lawyer. Don't take this as legal advice. I talked to the game warden. Your state's rules may vary and will vary and blah, 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 blah. So my first point in talking with the interaction, talking with the game warden, was do not stop hunting. And what he means by that is do not exit your ground blind, do not get out of your tree stand, and do not stop hunting, right? That's very clear, right? If you're out there in the act of hunting, be in the act of hunting. Second thing is do not interact with the person. Don't yell at them, don't throw stuff at them, don't call them names or whatever, because everybody can and does have a camera on them. And that brings me to the third point, which is film them. Don't make it too obvious, but film them. When they come into the woods and start interfering with your hunt, turn on your phone. So what I did, I'll give you a little what I did. So I wear a saddle, so I have a rope that comes down, this side and this side of me. And then I also, and especially in these colder hunts, wear what they call, a muff that I can stick my hands in. So what I did Let me zoom out as far as I can here for you. As I just had my muff, and when the person came over to the left or the right side here, I just had my hand on the edge of my muff with my phone filming, and I just filmed out that way. And as they went by, I just shifted my position over, so I always had them in there. Then when they walked behind me and stuff, just shifted my phone back over here so they could, you could see behind me and see them. Then when it went the other side, I handed the phone over to the other side and was filming off the other side there. So, first thing is, like I said, and everybody's got a camera on them. I'm sure that individual had a camera on them, and they were looking for me to do something stupid, like get out of my tree, or or yell at them or throw stuff at them. And guess what? I didn't do any of that. I sat there and I watched them, and and I filmed them. And then third thing, and probably most important thing, is talk to your local game warden on this. I'm in an area, like I said, where it's a little bit of a special hunt type deal, because it is a public area. There is an established, concrete walk trail, blah, 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 blah. But immediately after it's done, call your game warden, tell them what you did, and they should have your back on this. Where they don't have your back is if you do something stupid, like get out of your tree or get out of your ground blind and yell at this person, do, stupid things like chase them off. Those are all really bad ideas. So as long as you are in the act of hunting, then it counts as hunter harassment. Do not escalate it to something else. Yeah, they might ruin your hunt. Guess what? You got tomorrow, unless it's the last day of season. But still, then you got next season. What happens if you do something stupid? You could lose your hunting rights. You could lose your, if you're hunting with a rifle, you could lose your right to bear arms, which is not fun to lose. Would not recommend it for anybody because life looks a whole lot different. So all those things, don't do it. It's not worth it. And if you video them, guess what? You turn them in to the game warden, and then they lose some of those things. They might, if they're violent or belligerent or whatever, they might get charged with more things than just hunter harassment. And the best thing that you can do is video it. And when they say, no, I didn't do that, and you're like, really? Here you go. Here's you, doing something stupid to a hunter, up in a tree, and then, maybe they made threats at you. Cool. Now it's they threaten your life, and they lose their hunting rights. They might not have been using them. They lose their gun rights. That's all on them. So don't be the aggressor in the situation. Be the one who controls the narrative. Film it. Don't interact. Let them do stupid things. And then from there on out, you played the bigger person, and you've got all the evidence you need to make their lives a whole lot worse off. And guess what? You go back, you hunt something the next day, and you might whack something. Anyways, I know this isn't a video that's probably the most fun to watch, more entertaining. And, I know you guys are going, he does these hunt updates and never seems to shoot stuff. But the other side of that is I've done post-shot videos and all those sorts of things. But I'm waiting for you guys, yes, my audience, to say, yes, absolutely. Post the shots that you're taking and show us where you're smacking these deer, and give us those informed decisions, so that way you can go and replicate it in your own hunts. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you very much. Take care.